You guys know the drill. These are my waiver wire pickups for every single position. Let's go. What's going on, fantasy football fans? I'm your host, Hussein the Brain, and you're watching The Couch for the best waiver wire pickups, best strategy videos, best fantasy football live streams. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell icon so you won't miss future videos. Just a quick update. There's a small chance that the Vikings-Texans game and the Steelers-Titans game might get postponed or canceled. Adam Schefter stating that as a contingency plan, that Steelers-Titans game might be moved back Monday just to give the NFL one extra day, but that's not likely to happen. I just wanted to let people know about this, that this is a situation in case everything goes wrong and it's going really badly. These two games, these four teams are something to monitor at the very least. Quarterback pickups. Nothing special, but as we finally thought was going to happen, Nick Foles is named the starter. Starter moving forward. He's the Chicago Bears starting quarterback. So yeah, for week 4, but expected to be and beyond week 4 as well. Gardner Minshew, a lot of people were down on him after he started out hot the first 2 weeks, and then he performed pretty bad week 3. But I just didn't see it that way. If he just scored one touchdown, he would have salvaged that week. On top of that, he was missing DJ Chark, his #1 receiver. That is a big deal, and it opens up the field for all the other receivers and even to get more rushing yards for Gardner Minshew. So against the Bengals, against the Texans, and even against the Lions, those are 3 good matchups. I would expect DJ Chark to be back week 4. Remember, the Jaguars played Thursday, so that gives him extra time to come back. I still believe in Minshew, and he always gets those rushing yards. So getting those 20-30 rushing yards, that's 2 or 3 fantasy bonus points that we all love. And the reason I'm ranking from 1 to 6, it really doesn't matter. The rankings are so close and could really go either way. And some are better streaming options, while some are better long-term. As far as Gardner Minshew, that's both long-term and streaming. Nick Foles, not necessarily a streaming option, more of a long-term option in super flex leagues or in deep leagues. Jared Goff, he's both as well. Justin Herbert's a risky quarterback you really don't want to be starting. Not the best matchups. But yeah, like I said, more of a QB2 than a QB1. But Goff, he's got 2 matchups that I kind of like. Washington's front 7 is good, but their secondary not so great. And the Giants are one of the worst teams in the league. So Goff should be able to do well. He's been putting up decent fantasy points. Then we got Ryan Fitzpatrick going up against the Seahawks. This is going to be an absolute shootout. I love both quarterbacks this game. I think Russell Wilson's better, but still, I like Fitzpatrick as a great streaming option. Also, good long-term pickup. Now, Kirk Cousins, I'd say he's more of a streaming option just for this week. Great matchup against the Texans. And for those of you in specialty leagues and super deep leagues, I did want to announce that Brett Rypien is the starting quarterback, not Jeff Driscoll. Drew Lock is still injured. That's really it. He's starting quarterback. So those of you in super flex leagues, probably worth an ad. For running backs, there are some quality options here. I'd say these top 4 are pretty much must-adds. Carlos Hyde, streaming option, because we're expecting Chris Carson to miss about 1 week, maybe longer. I guess there's a chance he's going to play week 4, but I highly doubt that. Jeff Wilson, definitely a must-add if you need a running back with Coleman out, with Mostert likely out, and Jerick McKinnon's quite injury-prone. Jeff Wilson must-add for running backs, at least for the short term, and I'd say for the long term, just in case something happens, 20 players on the Niners are injured. Myles Gaskin is definitely the man in Miami. I doubted him week 1, but I'm not doubting him anymore. This past game, he outsnapped the fellow running back teammates, 46 snaps. And the other 3 running backs combined for 16 snaps. So it's pretty obvious who is the workhorse running back for the Dolphins. And on top of that, he's not that bad. The Dolphins not a great running team or anything, but much better. Last year they couldn't run they can do anything in the running game. Fitzpatrick was their best running back. Now they actually have a decent running back in Gaskin who you could start. He's flex worthy. Darrell Henderson, he did much better and keeps improving. Outsnapped Malcolm Brown by quite a bit. Now, why I don't have him ranked higher, because he looks good and he looked like he could be the workhorse this past week. I still smell a running back by committee here. It still smells like that. Not just, don't go off what you just saw for one game. Sean McVay, he's a snake. He's not to be trusted in fantasy. So I just don't know week to week what's going to happen. Cam Akers probably not going to be out too long. Once he comes back, that's going to add a lot more uncertainty. So yeah, Henderson, you can pick him up. But could you start him with any type of confidence when Akers is back? No, you can't. Adrian Peterson still looking good, still looking young. I mean, he doesn't look old, that's for sure. Damian Harris, now put in red that he's injured, so you can put him in that IR spot. He's expected to be off of it really soon, though, probably this week. Cool ad. As long as he has that, you could put him in your IR spot, and that means you hoard one extra player. That's advantageous. And then we got Rex Burkhead, who absolutely went off week 3. Went off week 3. I didn't do horrible week 2. Why I have him down so low is because, yeah, Damian Harris is coming back. Sony Michel is still there. And this is similar situation to what could be with the Rams. It could be running back by committee. You just don't know what the game plan is week to week. Is it an Edelman week? Is it a Cam Newton running the ball type of week? Is it a Sony Michel week? I don't know. But still, these guys are running backs. As your RB6 or something, it's worth an ad if he's not already on your roster. Maybe it's too late. Maybe the Rex Burkhead window is already closed. Gio Bernard is still getting some run, okay, in deep PPR leagues, and Brian Hill is getting some run as Gurley's backup. For wide receivers, I got 22 of them, and it's kind of messy. I would say these top 8 guys are really worth adding here. Yeah, I'd say the top 8 for sure. So Justin Jefferson, I feel so bad that I dropped him in some of my leagues. I should have been more patient. I did see him balling out in DFS as a contrarian pick. I mean, he had that upside, and it worked out. So in DFS it was good, but I wish I held on to him a little bit longer in my redraft leagues. He's the man now. Look, Olavisi Johnson, 5 snaps week 4. By the way, Johnson was out snapping Jefferson by quite a bit the first 2 weeks. Now we know who's the man there. But I mean, he does look like Diggs. He looks like Stephon Diggs, just like we thought. Damn, I should have been more patient. But hey, I had to make some moves. I drafted guys like Mike Thomas, AJ Brown, Julio, Cortland Sutton in a couple leagues. Like I had to make some moves, and pretty much was, yeah, I guess I had to do it. Like, all my wide receivers are injured. A lot of people watching this video's wide receivers were injured and had to drop Jefferson. Now I'm trying to pick him back up. Anthony Miller, I love this because 47 snaps. That's a season high for him, and now that Foles is back, that's pretty good. I didn't go over Cole Beasley, but he's been really consistent. 100 yards this past game. He's not owned in pretty much not owned in any leagues, and now that John Brown is hurt with a calf injury, this could sideline him for several weeks. I don't know yet. Right now he's questionable, so as John Brown is out, expect Cole Beasley to get more targets. Josh Allen passed the major test. He passed the big midterm test, guys. He balled out week 3 because people say the first 2 weeks, he had some really bad opponents. Well, the Rams weren't really bad, and Josh Allen still looked great, still looks accurate. He's putting the team on his back, and he's hitting his receivers. He's hitting his tight ends. He's hitting 2 or 3 wide receivers. He's looking great. Cole Beasley's always involved in that offense. Allen Lazard going against the Falcons. I love this. Maybe it's an MVS week. Maybe it's not. Just keep tabs on Devontae Adams. Lazard, regardless, should be owned in just about every league, even if you're not going to start him. Just as an emergency guy, because a lot of wide receivers are banged up. Then we have Greg Ward, who's likely the number 1 wide receiver for the Eagles. Maybe Alshon Jeffrey's coming back soon. Maybe Alshon's coming back week 4. This week, maybe week 5, maybe week 6, he's coming back soon. Deshaun Jackson, he's injured. Don't know if he's going to play this week. Don't know how long he's going to be out or miss any time. I have no clue. But common theme, Eagles always banged up. Greg Ward got 11 targets last week. That is a lot of targets. We can't just avoid those type of numbers. And Brandon Ayuk, I was trying to really look at this objectively. Like, Debo's coming back soon, and the Niners change up every week and do different things. But as far as upside and as far as talent, that's really tough to ignore. When a guy gets 8 targets, looks great, and also is involved in the run game, he got 3 rushing attempts. You really can't ignore this type of upside. He's not a guy you want to start, not until, bye weeks start hitting or something. You want to stash. You want to see how he does for another 2 games, but I think he'll still have a significant role even when Debo does come back. We know the Niners are very banged up. Their defense still looks pretty good, but nonetheless, it's going to take a step backwards from last year with guys like Bosa out, and they suffered a bunch of other injuries on defense as well. We talked about Alshon Jeffrey. You can probably slide him in that IR spot. T. Higgins, similar to Brandon Ayuk, rookie wide receiver. Stash him, especially with Burrow spreading the ball. But he's a starter. He's one of the main receivers on this team, and he's trending upwards. He started off with not getting targeted at all week 1, then got 6 targets week 2, 9 targets week 3. And if this trend continues, by the way, John Ross is an NFL bust. Just wanted to say that. Healthy scratch week 3. And I mean, I'm not surprised. I was like, wow, Auden Tate was a healthy scratch, I think, week 2. But Auden Tate seems to be better. I mean, at least with Burrow. And then we got Scotty Miller, still worth a pickup. Here's the problem with a team like the Bucks. Other than Godwin and Evans, I really don't know who's going to get targeted. Justin Watson, who was hurt. Maybe it's OJ Howard. Maybe it's Gronk. Maybe it's a guy like Rojo or Shady McCoy in the running back. Maybe even Fournette. I doubt it. But anyway, Chris Godwin is injured. He's likely to miss a week or 2. He's probably not going to play. Scotty Miller is a decent spot start, and I would try to hold on to him just because he had a 1 bad week. Week 2, I mean, he didn't ball out other than that, but still, don't give up on a guy like this who can continue to improve with Tom Brady. Traquan Smith, great wide receiver as long as Mike Thomas is out. Mike Thomas should be back within a couple weeks. And Hunter Renfrow, the number 1 wide receiver for the Raiders. I had him on my list here. Golden Tate, he's being slept on. Adam Humphries, very consistent. But once A.J. Brown comes back, he'll probably be back within a few weeks or a couple weeks. Let's see how he does. MVS is still worth a roster spot in maybe in 12-team leagues, not in 10-team leagues, definitely in a 14-team league. Then we have Laviska, who's also involved in the run game. Keelan Cole, still believe in him. Andy Isabella is looking great. He only got 4 targets, but that's 4 receptions and 2 touchdowns this past week. That was another contrarian pick. By the way, Michael Pittman and Paris Campbell both suffered big injuries. They're going to miss several weeks. It's looking really bad. That's not good news for them, man. Mecole Hardman, I'm not. The reason I got him ranked so low is because we just don't know who Mahomes is going to throw to week. Now, we saw Demarcus Robinson wasn't involved in the offense at all this past week, Monday night, but he still got a lot of snaps. They use all their players. They use their fullback. They use both running backs. They use Kelsey. They use about 4 wide receivers, at least 3 wide receivers every game. And Mahomes has been really spreading the ball. And Mahomes also has some decent rushing stats. And so, Mecole, although I love his upside, he's the type of guy, well, he is the guy that you start him and he does bad, and you bench him and he does good. And that's probably what's going to happen. Now, the pros, he's got probably the best quarterback in the game right now, Patrick Mahomes. Okay, maybe Russell Wilson is, but still, Patrick Mahomes is incredible. He has superpowers, so that's there. And he's also trending upwards, as we saw in week 1. He got like 7 yards, 1.7 fantasy points. Then he got 3 targets the following week, 6 targets just recently. So that usage is pretty good. And there's drawing up some plays for him where he can go off. But like I said, expect him to be very inconsistent if those Chiefs receivers do stay healthy. Curtis Samuel, another wide receiver that's involved in the run game. Now that C-Mac is out, C-Mac's going to be out a few more weeks. Gabriel Davis, rookie wide receiver. If he's not owned in Dynasty, you might want to pick him up. And Braxton Berrios, he's actually been pretty dang good the past couple weeks, but Jamison Crowder and Perryman probably will return soon, and that'll probably kill Berrios' value in fantasy. For tight ends, oh man, Jimmy Graham is number 1. 10 targets this past week, and with Nick Foles, I think everyone just gets an upgrade. Whole team gets more energy, and he's looking pretty good. Great target at the goal line. And Chris Herndon, I still believe in Herndon. Bad quarterback, horrible team. I get it, but the matchup is great, and they're so banged up at receiver. I see the targets still being there. This is the type of game where either team, like the Jets, could actually beat the Broncos this game. The Broncos are so banged up. It just takes one play, really, for a tight end to go off. We saw that with Mark Andrews Monday night. Mark Andrews didn't have a good game. Could have been worse, but just if he made that one catch, instead of having like 5 fantasy points, he would have had like 17 fantasy points. So one catch is that big difference for tight ends, and this is the game where Herndon might get that one catch. Logan Thomas still getting targets. He got about 9 targets one game, 8 targets another game, 7 targets another game. So he's getting consistent targets, 8 per game. We love to see that. That's a decent floor. Just his quarterback's really bad. And then we have Greg Olsen, Austin Hooper, good matchup against the Cowboys. Mo Alley Cox, who's just been going off. It's just crazy. Highest rated tight end in as far as PFF grades go. That's so insane. Drew Sample wasn't involved in the pass game at all, but he is the tight end for the Bengals. We know Eifert's not there. CJ Uzomah is out for the year, so Drew Sample's getting all the snaps. I do think he's going to get more targets. It's just dependent on how they're using the wide receivers, but I don't know. That's why I ranked him so low. He's still worth a stash if you need a backup tight end. You definitely don't want to start him. Have no trust with him. And we got Tyler Eifert, Jordan Akins, Robert Tonyan. I don't know what's going on with Rodgers and the Packers, but they're on fire. Ross Dwelly with Jordan Reed's going to miss several weeks. I expect Kittle to be back this week, but if he doesn't, Ross Dwelly, yes, he's actually worth a start. He's good in that Shanahan system. For defenses, there's a lot of good ones, but other than the Rams, I'm not going to be trusting any of these. It's just a lot of messy and hard to predict games here. So the Rams going up against the Giants, this one's a no-brainer. You got Aaron Donald against that Giants. I don't think 5 Giants offensive linemen could block Aaron Donald. I don't see that happening. With that being said, they should be able to wreak havoc against the Giants. By the way, Saquon Barkley is out, and Daniel Jones is it's not looking good for the New York Giants, for any New York football team. And the Broncos going against the Jets. Look, I love this, but with their quarterback woes, the Broncos, it could cause this game to go really haywire and just be so unpredictable. Like I said, the Jets might actually win this one. It's in New York too, so we'll see what happens. It's still a good spot start, but none of these you can really trust. Defenses are so tough to predict sometimes. I predicted the Colts last week, but hey, that should have been a layup, man. That was a no-brainer. Bucks D going up against the Chargers. Herbert's going to be making some mistakes. Mike Williams is banged up. Chargers are kind of a weird team. Bucks can get some fantasy points here. And then the Jets going up against the Broncos. It's going to be a low-scoring game, and the Jets defense might do some things against the third-string Broncos quarterback. Bears D going against the Colts. Colts are banged up. You got to worry about the running backs. Other than that, I don't think you got to worry about too much, to be quite frank. Now that Mo Alley Cox is on people's radars, just be like, hey, don't let this guy go off. Kind of keep the running backs contained. We'll get the W. Don't keep, the Colts shouldn't be able to score too many points. Then we got the Bengals going up against the Jags. Packers going up against the Falcons. Packers not so great here, but if Julio and Gage are out, give them a boost, and I actually would consider starting them in a deep league. Seahawks going against the Dolphins, and we got the Cardinals going against the Panthers, and Jags going against the Bengals. For kickers, I absolutely love Mason Crosby. Home game against the Falcons. It doesn't get any sexier than this for a kicker to stream. Mason Crosby, oh my God, he's been going off, and this should be no different. We should see extra points. We should see field goal attempts, and he should make them. He's accurate. Zane Gonzalez, he's owned in most leagues, but you might be able to find him on free agency. By the way, I wouldn't spend a claim. Don't claim these guys off waivers. Don't spend any more than $0 FAB at most. So don't invest anything into these kickers, because a guy like Tyler Bass or Sam Sloman is going to be free agent, so you can just add them. Don't waste anything on kickers at all. Joey Slye, a great matchup against the Cardinals, same game right there. Jason Myers, a little bit of a sneaky star. Most people know who he is, and he's owned in some leagues, but he's not super popular. This is the game where he's going to go off. Now, the only way I see myself really missing this is if it's all extra points, which could be, it could kick 7 extra points. But still, that's 7 points. That's not that bad. The floor is extremely high. And if Russell Wilson misses on a couple of these and they settle for field goals here and there, he could put up a ton of points. Tyler Bass, absolutely love this going against the Raiders. And I'm talking about upside. The upside is extremely high. A guy like Tyler Bass could put up 15 fantasy points against the Raiders. Sam Sloman, love the matchup, but he's only kicking about 2 out of 3 of his field goals he's making, and I just don't trust his accuracy. Now, I don't go off of accuracy too much. Like, I don't it's not like it's just because a guy's like 3% less accurate than the other guy, I'm not going to write him off, because that's not, those type of things are tough to predict. Still, though, I don't want to rank him too high because of that, just because I don't have that trust in him, that faith to kick a 40-yarder or a 50-yarder. But still, he's going to get a lot of extra point attempts and a lot of field goal attempts, that's for sure. So I do like him. Wouldn't be too scared to start him against the Giants, and they're at home too. And we have Chris Boswell, extremely high floor, playing on a great Steelers team. Kaimi Fairbairn, the floor is not great, but he does have some upside going against the Vikings. And then Ryan Suckup. Buccaneers are very tough to predict, but still, he should do at least decent going up against the Chargers. Obviously, I got him ranked 9th, so I like all those other guys better than Suckup. Tough to predict that Ryan Suckup is. I read every single YouTube comment, guys, so if you got a question, a comment, feedback, let me know below in the comments. I'll get back to you. Make sure you subscribe to both YouTube channels. This one right here, and we also have a second YouTube channel. It really helps out if you subscribe to that one as well. It's called Fantasy Couch Podcast. Hit this with a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you didn't like it, and I'll catch you on the next video / live stream.